Right then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. Of course, Venom Let There Be Carnage trailer released yesterday. I did my trailer reaction, review / breakdown of it. Now, outside of that, Andy Serkis, the director, did his own breakdown of the trailer. And I thought we would discuss 5 major reveals and sort of poignant, pertinent points from Andy Serkis himself. And just kind of dive into it, really, because I do think it's interesting. And look, I know a lot of people have, I guess, some disdain for this movie because it's PG-13. I myself, I enjoyed the first one for what it was. There's definitely a lot of issues with it, but I am going to be looking forward to seeing this all the same. But a dumb fun is how I look at this movie. So I thought we'd dive into this today. This article's linked down below. Please do follow along with me. Also, side note, linked down below is my second channel. That's right, I have a car channel where I rebuild cars. I know that's probably left field for a lot of people, but if you're into cars and you're into what I do here, then please do head on over to the link in the description box. But let's dive into this now, shall we? So, Andy Serkis, director, hey? I think this is one of those things that I'm really looking forward to, just seeing what he can do anyway. Now, again, these are the 5 biggest reveals, the 5 biggest breakdown comments from Andy Serkis himself. And number 1 is Eddie and Venom's odd couple relationship, right? So if the trailer makes anything clear, it's that the goofy relationship between Eddie Brock and his symbiotic other is going to be front and center in Venom Let There Be Carnage. According to Serkis, they've reached the odd couple stage of their relationship by the time we find them here. Now, he says, and I quote, "They've been together for a year and a half, say, since the last story, and they're figuring out how to be with each other. And it's like living with this manic toddler. Eddie is really struggling. He can't concentrate, he's trying to get on with work, and he, of course, only thinks about himself anyway on the whole." So Serkis goes on to add that Eddie views Venom as kind of a weird, screwed up mirror version of himself. But how does the alien feel about their newfound dynamics? So, of course, what is Venom's thoughts anyway? Venom, of course, feels trapped because he can't leave Eddie's body unless he has his permission. And when they go out, the deal is, you live in my body, you live by my rules. And we're under threat. We're in a dangerous position here. We've got to keep quiet and nobody must know because of all the things that happened in the last story. If people find out and get a grip of what's going on, then we'll both be hauled into Area 51 and examined. So interesting. I mean, again, one of the things I said in my breakdown was that they're really leaning into what people fed back from the first movie, which was, hey, yeah, we really like the Eddie and Venom dynamic. So of course they were going to lean into it, and it's also good that they're leaning into it, I guess, because a lot of people liked it. It shows that they're listening. I know a lot of people fed back that they wanted an R-rated movie, but they made, $850 million from Venom. They're never going to get an R-rated version of that now. But at least they're listening to some of the feedback. Hey, yeah, we really liked the Eddie Venom dynamic. Let's have some more. Now, here's interesting. Cletus Cassidy, his interest in Eddie Brock. Now, Andy Serkis states, and I quote, "They both had strange upbringings with strange relationships with their parents and their families. And there's an inherent loneliness that they both recognize in each other." Now, as for why Eddie could want to develop a relationship with Cletus, it doesn't sound like it's entirely the anti-hero's choice. So he says, Cletus actually reaches out and will only speak to Eddie Brock. That's at the beginning of the story. We learned that he's the only one he'll speak to, and the cops, therefore, want Eddie to go in and investigate and try and discover where some of the many bodies of Cletus's victims are. Interesting. And obviously that then helps him, be a journalist, write stories, so on and so forth. So it's not entirely selfless. And that's not necessarily bad either. However, we of course get Eddie's new mission. So Andy Serkis says that he's on a mission, but also he's self-serving in only the way that Eddie can be. He wants to get in there and maybe he can make a story. So this is obviously to do with Cletus Cassidy. Get back to what he wants to do most, which is writing and the written word and being a journalist. So this sets up, really, the confrontation or the false relationship that Eddie sort of pretends to have with Cletus in order to get information out of it. And that's interesting, isn't it? Like, are we going to see him pretend to be Cletus's friend? And then that's why Cletus Cassidy Carnage goes mental and tries to attack Eddie? Maybe, I don't know. Cletus has an extraordinarily childlike but vivid imagination and mind, and he expresses himself by drawing. So this is pertaining to all the drawings on the walls. His cell is completely covered with these really bizarre markings and expressions. It's like his anger and frustration and his sadness and his desperation and his loneliness. So that's interesting. It's not a surprise that we are going to be getting that element. Eddie Brock investigating, pretending. I think that'll be a good opportunity for Tom Hardy to show some range in the role of Eddie Brock, because I think Eddie Brock as a character for Tom Hardy actually isn't that good. But then of course we had Shriek in the trailer, and Andy teased some elements there. He said she's a damaged soul and she really has suffered in her childhood, but there is a real vulnerability about her and she's in a lot of pain. She's been living in isolation for years, years and years. With all these characters, what's so beautifully drawn about them is that they're multifaceted, they're totally truthful and believable, and yet she's dangerous too. And I think she has her own sense of fairness and being just. And I think that when that line is crossed, then you see a very, very dangerous dark side to her, and that's what we wanted to do with the character. So it does actually seem like we are going to be getting some proper Shriek in this movie. So that'll be interesting, I think. I think that'll be very, very interesting. We also had Toxin teased because of the cop. Was it McGulligan or something like that? I can't exactly remember the name. But the cop, played by Stephen Graham in the trailer, is the same cop, detective. I think it's Detective Mulligan. But anyway, he's teasing Toxin somewhere along the line. Now, we had Andy Serkis comment on Carnage's powers. He says he can turn to mist, he can turn to all manner of tendrils, he can take different forms, he can weaponize, he can do all of these different things. With all symbiotes, they reflect the person who is their host. So the darkness of Carnage, the playfulness, the wit, the strangeness. Cletus has a real intelligence and a sense of humour, and we wanted to reflect that in the symbiote that is linked to him. So there you go, major key reveals from the trailer breakdown, courtesy of the director himself, Andy Serkis. I am looking forward to seeing what he does. I don't necessarily jump at him being the director and go, yep, this means that it's going to be a great film, because I don't think that is the case. I think him being a new director, I do think that there will be a chance that Sony will control him. Of course they will. He's not a big-time director enough to go up against Sony and the Suits. But I still think it is an interesting opportunity to watch unfold and see what he has on offer as a director. So there you go. What do you guys think? Please do let me know down below. Are you looking forward to this movie or not? Again, let me know. If you're new here, please do hit subscribe. If you're a returning subscriber, check that you are subscribed, because YouTube is playing silly buggers. And if you don't believe me, hit that like button. You might watch your like disappear, because that's what YouTube has been doing recently, removing likes. Very, very weird. Not sure what's going on. But that's the other thing, guys. Please do hit that like button. Apparently, YouTube is liking likes at the moment, the algorithm. So if you want to support the channel, please do. We've got memberships open as well as Patreon, which you can find linked in the description box. But thanks so much, guys. Take care.